Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's maths lesson. Now in our maths lessons last week, we started to look at pictograms, and we looked at pictograms where one picture represented one item. So for example, one ice cream or one animal. Well, today we are going to be looking at pictograms again, but this time looking at pictograms where one picture represents two items. So that could be two pieces of fruit or two children, for example. Now, before we do that, I would like us to warm up our brains with our flashback. So here's your flashback for today. There are 3 questions. In the first question, it says how many rainy days altogether. So you need to have a look at the key and you need to have a look at the pictogram for rainy days, and you need to work out how many rainy days there were in total. Then number 2, find the sum of 4, 5 and 6. Now 2 numbers jump out at me here. Are you able to work out what those 2 numbers are? Because that will really help you. Then number 3, how many sides do 10 squares have? So have a think, how many sides does 1 square have? And then write a multiplication number sentence to find out how many sides 10 squares have. Okay, so let's go through the answers together. Well, number 1, well, I can see on the key that one circle represents one day. Now, how many circles are there next to rainy days? Well, there are 3 circles. So if one circle represents one day, 3 circles is going to represent 3 days. Okay, number 2, find the sum of 4, 5 and 6. Well, the 2 numbers that jumped out at me were 4 and 6. And why is this? Well, it's because this is a number bond to 10. So now that we know that these 2 numbers add together to make 10, we just need to add the other number on. So 10 plus 5 equals, yes, 15. Well done. Now, number 3, how many sides do 10 squares have? Well, we know that one square has 4 sides. Can you see that the square has 4 sides? Well, we don't need one square, do we? We need 10. So let's add some more squares. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10 squares, and each of our squares has 4 sides. So therefore, we can write the multiplication number sentence for 10 multiplied by 4, because there are 10 squares and they each have 4 sides. But we don't know the 4 times table, do we? So therefore, we need to use commutative law to change the parts around to make 4 multiplied by 10. And we know the 10 times table, don't we? So let's count up together in steps of 10 4 times. Are you ready? 10, 20, 30, 40. Stop! We've counted 4 steps of 10, and what did we get to? Yes, we got to 40. Well done. So 10 squares have 40 sides altogether. Brilliant. Well done if you got those correct. Now let me unshare my screen so that we can get on with today's learning. Okay, so hello Year 2. As I said, today we are looking at pictograms where one picture represents 2 items. So before we do that, we need to see how super duper we are at counting in 2s. So here is my number line. Are you ready to count in 2s with me? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Wow, Year 2, well done. You are super duper, as I said, at counting in 2s. And that will really help you today, because our key for our pictogram today says that one square represents 2 pets. So let's have a look at our pictogram. Here it is. Okay, so we've got pets, we've got dogs, we've got cats, and we've got rabbits. Now, I also have the tally chart for this data that we're going to change into our pictogram. So let me have a look at the first one. Well, the first one is dogs. Now, we know that when there's a diagonal line through the last 4 tally marks, that is 5. So that's 5 dogs. And there's another one, so 5 plus 5 is 10. So I need to show 10 on my pictogram for the dogs. So let me get my number line out, and I'm going to count in steps of 2 and see how many steps I count before I get to 10. So I've got 1 step, 2, 3 gets me to 6, 4 gets me to 8, and 5 gets me to 10. So I've done 5 jumps of 2. So therefore, I am going to need 5 squares on my pictogram for dogs. So I'm going to draw my first square, which represents 2 dogs. My second square represents 4 dogs. My third represents 6 dogs. My fourth represents 8 dogs. And my fifth, as I said, represents 10 dogs. Now, Yetu, why did I count in steps of 2? Well, that's because each square, each picture on my pictogram represents 2 pets, not 1. So there we go. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I've got 10 dogs all together on my pictogram. Okay, let me look at the next one. So here I've got cats, and I've got a completed tally, which I know is 5 cats. Another completed tally, so that's 10 cats. And then I've got 4 tally marks on their own. So I've got 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so let me get my number line out and see how many jumps I need to do with 2 to get myself to 14. So we start at 0. We've got 1 jump to 2, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, 4 jumps, 5 jumps got us to 10, 6 jumps to 12, and 7 jumps to 14. So if I've done 7 jumps of 2, I know that in my pictogram I am going to need 7 squares to represent the cats, because each square is representing 2 pets, and there are 14 cats altogether, and I jumped 7 times up in 2s to get to 14. So my first square represents 2 cats. My second square, 4 cats. Can you count with me? My third, 6 cats. 8 cats. 10 cats. 12 cats. 14 cats. So there we go. I have shown 14 cats on my pictogram, and I only have 7 squares because each square represents 2 cats. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Fantastic. So now I would like you to have a go at the rabbits on your own. So this pictogram and the tally chart can be found on resource 1. So please could you pause the video and have a go at filling in the pictogram for rabbits. Okay, Yetu, so let's go through it together. Well, let's have a look at our tally chart for rabbits. Well, we have got one of the 5 rabbits, because we know when there's a diagonal line that represents 5. So we've got 5 rabbits. Oh, another one, so that's 10 rabbits. And then 2 on their own, 11, 12. So we've got 12 rabbits on our tally chart. So let's get our number line again and see how many jumps of 2 we have to do to get to 12. So my first jump takes me to 2, my second to 4, 6 is 3, 8 is 4 jumps, 10 is 5 jumps, and 12 is 6 jumps. So there we go. We've done 6 jumps of 2 to get us to 12. So therefore, because 1 square represents 2 pets, we are going to need 6 squares to represent our 12 pets. So we've got 1 square representing 2, 2 representing 4 rabbits, and we've got another one for 6 rabbits, another one for 8 rabbits, another one for 10 rabbits, and one last one for 12 rabbits. So there we go, Yetu. Well done if you got that right, because look, we've got 12 rabbits. We've got 2 rabbits, 4 rabbits, 6 rabbits, 8 rabbits, 10 rabbits, 12 rabbits, and I'm counting up in steps of 2 because each square represents 2 pets. So now I would like you to have a go at your independent question, which is question number 1 on resource 2. And when you finish, can you come back to the video for me? Okay, Yetu, so let's move this pictogram away and let's get our next pictogram. So our next pictogram, again, is using squares, but this time 1 square represents 2 animals. So here is our pictogram. These are the animals that a boy saw on his walk. Okay, so I'm going to put that forward for you. There we go. So you can see it a little bit clearer. There we go. So on his walk, he saw some fish, he saw some frogs, and he saw some butterflies. Now let's have a look at my pictogram, not my pictogram, my tally chart, to see how many fish he saw. So he saw, oh, we know that when there's a diagonal line through, that is 5 items. So he saw 5 fish. Now, let me see how many jumps I need to do on my number line, how many jumps of 2 I need to do on my number line to get to 5. Okay, so I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go 1 jump is 2, 2 jumps is 4, 3 jumps is 6. Well, we've got a problem here because we need to get to 5. Our jumps of 2 are not getting us to 5. We've missed 5 and we're at 6. So I wonder what we need to do. Well, we know that 2 jumps got us to 4. So let's start by adding those to our pictogram because we know that 2 squares will represent 4 fish. So we've got our first square representing 2 fish and our second square representing 4 fish. Now we know that if we add another square, that will represent 6 fish, won't it? So therefore, we don't need another square because we only need 1 more animal. We need to go from 4 fish to 5 fish, and that's only a jump of 1. So therefore, what we can do here too is just draw a half square. Okay, so there's our half square, and our half square represents 1 animal because half of 2, which is our square, is 1. So if we half that square, we can represent 1 animal. So there we go, we've got 2, 4, and we've got a half square, which is 5. There we go, so we have represented our fish on our pictogram, and we have used a half square to represent 1 fish, because a whole square will represent 2, and we didn't need a whole square because that would have taken us to 6. We only needed a half because we only needed to get to 5 fish. Okay, let's look at our next one. So we've got frogs this time, and we've got our finished tally, so that's 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. Now again, is 9 an even number? Would we find it if we were counting in 2s? No, we wouldn't, would we? 9 is an odd number, so therefore we're probably going to need to use a half square again. Well, let me have a look. I'm going to add my first square, which I know is 2 frogs. Then I'm going to add my second square, which I know is 4 frogs. Then my third square, which I know is 6 frogs. My fourth square, I know is 8 frogs. Now, if I add another full square, that will take me to 10 frogs, and I don't need 10 frogs because there are only 9 frogs. So therefore, what do I need to do? Well, I only need to jump 1 more step from 8 to 9. So therefore, I'm going to put a half square because I know that a half square represents 1 animal because a full square represents 2 animals. And if I half that square, I can represent 1 animal because half of 2 equals 1. So now year 2, I would like you to have a go. Again, this is on your resource 1. You've got the tally chart and you've got the pictogram. Can you complete the pictogram for the butterflies? Okay, so let's go through it together. Well, let me have a look at my tally chart. I've got, I haven't got a full tally, so I've got 1, 2, 3 tally marks. So that tells me that there are 3 butterflies that this boy has seen. Okay, so let's start with our first full square. Now, what's our first full square going to represent? Yes, it's going to represent 2 butterflies, isn't it? Now, I need 3 butterflies. If I had another full square, that is going to be 4 butterflies. So what do I need to do? Well, yes, I know that if I half my square, I can represent 1 animal because half of 2 equals 1. So therefore, I'm just going to add a half square because I've got 2 butterflies and 3 butterflies with my half square. I didn't need a full square because I didn't have 4 butterflies to represent. Fantastic. Well done, Year 2, if you got that correct. So now I'd like you to have a go at your independent task. So that's question 2 on resource 2, okay? And you have some questions similar to this where you need to fill in a pictogram that might need some half pictures. Okay, pause the video now and have a go.